Here are the top stories for today, September 30, 2019. Transport groups protest against the government's Jeepney modernization program. Tribal leaders accuse the CPP-NPA of killing indigenous peoples who support government projects. Amakusa City in Japan taps Negros Occidental as its tourism partner in the Philippines. And local designers in Novo Ecijanos showcase gowns inspired by the province's agricultural products. Good day, I'm William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. Our top story for today, several jeepney drivers and operators joined a nationwide transport strike on Monday to protest the jeepney modernization program. Major transport groups are holding a protest against the government's PUV modernization program, which allows for the phase-out of jeepneys and UV Express vehicles next year. The group said that the standards set by the government have made it difficult for them to comply. The government's PUV modernization program requires operators to replace their jeepneys with vehicles fitted with Euro 4 compliant engines as part of efforts to make an environment-friendly transport system in the country. The LTFRB earlier warned PUV drivers and operators that it will revocate their franchises if they will join in the said protest. Local government units and schools were forced to suspend classes and work due to the transport strike.
Walang masakyan. Hindi ko lang po alam kung makakasakay nga ako dyan. Pwede rin kasi para siyempre marami na tayo na jeep na nadidisgrasya di ba? So kailangan siguro modify din natin yung mga kailangan natin gamitin ngayon.
Kung sa akin, pabor ako kasi tayo sa kalikasan, makakatulong tayo sa kalikasan. At the same time, yung marami na kasi ngayon yung mga jeep na kahit sobrang luma na nagpapasada pa rin. At saka doon nagkukos ng aksidente.
Kaninang umaga, oo, pero hanggang ngayon wala pa rin kami masakyan. Depende kung susuportahan ng gobyerno kasi ang problema kasi ng mga nagta-transport strike kaya ginawa nila yon kasi una, yung budget nila kasi syempre hindi naman modernize siya maganda yung mga nila noon eh. Kung masusuportahan sila ng maayos siguro pwede, pero kung hindi naman makaka-apekto, bakit pa natin tutuloy?
Meanwhile, Malacanang said that the government's PUV modernization program is long overdue. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo said despite the protests, the administration will push through with a planned modernization program as it would serve public interest. In a statement on Sunday, Panelo said the modernization of the public transport system is long overdue and that the Duterte administration will not be intimidated nor cowed by threats of protests and strikes coming from those who only think of their own parochial interest. Malacanang called U.S. Senator Patrick Leahy ignorant for assuming he saw the entire picture surrounding Senator Leila de Lima's incarceration. Last week, U.S. Senator Patrick Leahy asked the U.S. Senate to deny entry of any Philippine government officials involved in de Lima's imprisonment. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo slammed Leahy, saying that he does not have sufficient knowledge about Philippine laws and has not personally examined de Lima's case since he has not even set foot in the country. Panelo also emphasized that the U.S. Senator does not have an iota of proof and was only speaking not only of blissful ignorance but unscented abuse. De Lima, who is one of the staunchest critics of President Rodrigo Duterte, has been in detention since February 2017 for her alleged involvement in the illegal drug trade. However, she has denied these charges. The Federation of Free Workers, or FFW, on Saturday welcomed the signing of an executive order by President Rodrigo Duterte, which aims to fight child labor in the country. According to FFW Vice President for Research, Advocacy and Partnerships, Julius Caiglet, EO 92 helps institutionalize government interventions and trade union and civil society initiatives to put an end to child labor. Kainglet said that while there is a National Child Labor Committee, it is limited in mandate, resources, and coordination as it operates under a mere memorandum of agreement between and among its member government agencies, trade unions, employers, and non-government organizations. Thus, EO 92 upscales the Philippine program against child labor, and it also creates an interagency and multi-partite body that will lead, coordinate, and monitor anti-child labor efforts in the country. The labor group is also pushing for the establishment of child labor monitoring teams based in public schools with the cooperation of the Department of Education and Parents-Teachers Associations. The Presidential Communications Operations Office, or PCOO, are undertaking initiatives to further strengthen the freedom of information in the country. More on this from Teresa Montemayor.
The Philippine government on Friday joined the rest of the world in celebrating the International Day for Access to Information by organizing the first Access to Information Festival in Manila. The festival, headed by the PCOO, featured creative works from the youth who underscored the importance of such right in the form of spoken word poetry, photography, and essay writing. PCOO Secretary Martin Andanar said the festival aims to unleash the creativity of every Filipino in advocating the right to access of information through various art forms. Meanwhile, Andanar urges youth leaders to help make the country a better place by promoting the government's Freedom of Information program. He said that access to information is one basic right enshrined by our Constitution. The PCOO chief also revealed that the process of privatizing the Intercontinental Broadcasting Corporation, or IBC Channel 13, is already making significant progress. He said that the franchise of IBC 13 would be renewed to be more enticing before it is sold to a private firm.
Meron na tayong mga nasolusyonan na mga malaking problema din tulad nung sa BIR clearance. Kasi hindi mo mabibenta yung IBC 13 kung wala siyang tax clearance. Kasi kung wala siyang tax clearance, hindi mo marirenew yung franchise. Pag hindi mo marirenew yung franchise, walang bibili. We really need to renew the franchise of IBC 13, which is a government station, to another 25 years, and then we sell it.
From the PNA Newsroom, I'm Teresa Montemayor.
Still to come, tribal leaders accuse the CPP-NPA of killing indigenous peoples who support government projects. And the DENR distributes nearly 400 land titles in Sultan Kudarat. More on these when the PNA Newsroom continues.
Done. Okay. Thank you very much.
The indigenous peoples group who are meeting the Filipino community in Germany revealed that the communist terrorist groups are killing tribal leaders who avail of much-needed government support. by Magdalena Ilagan of the Mamanwa Manobo tribe said the CPP-NPA-NDF is forcing indigenous peoples to reject government infrastructure and social development projects as anyone who supports them gets killed. Iligan, who was also a former NPA member, said they created the group of tribal leaders to go to Europe with the goal of exposing all the lies made by the CPP-NPA about their community. She said she wants to cut the communist terrorists' large financing source from international donor organizations. Meanwhile, by Matumpis, Ana Crisostomo of the Ovu Monovu tribe said the NPA bans government projects and welfare assistance programs from entering their tribal communities, which hinders development in their area. The group said they are now determined to expose what the CPP-NPA has been doing in their community, as the killings of IP elders have compelled them to push back against the communist movement. The tribal leaders are seeking the international community's help to support the IPs directly through the National Commission on Indigenous Peoples and to stop the funneling of funds into illicit activities by some front communist international organizations. The Department of Trade and Industry partners with digital payment service providers to make the registration and renewal of business names more convenient to the Filipinos. Trade and Industry Secretary Ramon Lopez says that providing the public with e-payments option in line with President Duterte's mandate on the ease of doing business. As such, the DTI has tapped e-payment service providers PayMaya and GCash for the BNRS Next Gen or Business Name Registration System Next Generation. It is an online platform where the public could register or renew business names wherever they are. It can be accessed at bnrs.dti.gov.ph. He adds that the DTI is also working on the Department of Information and Communications Technology in creating a single system that could fast-track business processes. Japanese apparel retailer Uniqlo launched last Thursday its winter-fall collection and its partnership with various local artists. The announcement coincides with the first anniversary of its flagship store in Makati City. Uniqlo has partnered with Manix Abrera, Isabel Weber, Happy Garaje, Rob Chan, Evie Yu, Mika Bacani, Otto Jornik, Maika Arnaldo, Augie Fontanilla, and Soleil Ignacio. Their illustrations will be available for customers to use for their personalized t-shirts at Uniqlo's in-store digital t-shirt printing service, UT.me. Customers could use designs made by the local artist on their shirts and tote bags. Uniqlo also announced its partnership with world-renowned furniture designer Kenneth Cobonpue, as well as wild outdoor brand Celeste Cycles. Their works will be showcased in Uniqlo Manila. The Department of Environment and Natural Resources in Central Mindanao has distributed 397 land titles in Isulan, Sultan Kudarat as part of the agency's Handog Titulo program. According to Sultan Kudarat Governor Suharto Magudadatu, the program is one of the 10-point socio-economic agenda of President Duterte to ensure the security of land tenure. It also encourages investments and addresses bottlenecks in the land management and titling agencies. Only last week, the DENR and the Registry of Deeds awarded about 300 land titles to qualified beneficiaries in Matalam, North Cotabato. Magudadatu told the recipients to take care of their land properties and to make the most out of it, including the Filipino tradition of handing over land ownership to their children or next of kin. Local officials in Davao del Norte are eyeing the profiling of raised pigs to anticipate and prevent the spread of African swine fever. More on this and other news from the provinces, from Teresa Montemayor.
Santo Tomas Town in Davao del Norte will conduct pig profiling of all backyard racers and swine companies to determine the occurrence of African swine fever or ASF. The Municipal Agriculture Office says this will help them directly identify the area covered of the disease, number of pigs affected, and the interventions needed. The local government assured that the municipality is free from ASF and is strictly implementing the no veterinary clearance or permit no entry policy for pork and pork products. In Davao Oriental, as a preventive measure against ASF, Amakusa City is temporarily banning the entry of swine and pork products. The Department of Agriculture also called for the prohibition of swill feeding or the feeding of food scraps to swine as one measure to prevent the spread of ASF. Amakusa City Mayor Michelle Rabat has already directed the offices of the City Veterinarian Services, the City Agriculture, and the City Slaughterhouse to strictly enforce the order. In other news, the Department of Agriculture in Region 11 is calling on corn farmers to plant yellow corn to address the demand for livestock feeds. The DA seeks to educate farmers that there is a need for expansion areas devoted to corn through its School on the Air program. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Teresa Montemayor.
Up next, Amakusa City in Japan taps Negros Occidental as its tourism partner in the Philippines. And local designers in Novo Ecijanos showcase gowns inspired by the province's agricultural products. The PNA Newsroom returns after these reminders. Amakusa City in Japan is tapping Negros Occidental as its tourism partner in the Philippines. The Amakusa Tourism Promotion Team presented attractions to Negrense stakeholders in a meeting which is part of the Tourism Business Exchange program between the two areas. Amakusa is promoted as a center of early Christian culture in Japan, with one of its attractions being Sakitsu Village, a hidden Christian site declared as a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2018. The provincial government says it is linking the promotion team from Japan to local tour operators in Negros Occidental. It said that while the group is promoting Amasuka to the Negrenses, it is also an opportunity for the province to promote its tourism industry in Japan. Meanwhile, the Department of Tourism welcomed the continuous recognition of Palawan by CNN Travel as one of the 10 world's most beautiful islands. Tourism Secretary Bernadette Romulo Puyat said the government's rehabilitation efforts to preserve the beauty of Palawan did not go unnoticed. Puyat lauded local efforts in promoting sustainable tourism and practicing the carrying capacity of Palawan's subterranean river. Joining Palawan in the list are Milos in Greece, Bartolome in Ecuador, Frigate in the Seychelles, Saint Lucia in the Lesser Antilles, Jura in Scotland, Komodo Island in Indonesia, and Kauai Island in Hawaii, United States. Water utility firm Boracay Tubi System Incorporated on Friday assured it is complying with the DENR's water effluent standards. The BTSI said there is no direct discharging of untreated wastewater to the open sea and that it is operating a complete waterworks system with septage management. The firm acted on reports of a video showing yellowish liquid flowing out of its submerged pipe 1 kilometer away from the island shoreline. A joint sampling with the DENR Environmental Management Bureau showed compliance to effluent standards. The BTSI says all wastewater is being treated on-site at the individual sewage treatment plants of establishments it serves. BTSI added that it is currently investigating possible illegal tapping and intrusion into the pipeline leading to the outfall. The viral video was addressed on Friday's Senate hearing on the DENR's proposed budget for 2020. Secretary Roy Simatu reported the discharge coming out of the BTSI outfall has met standards after previously showing high fecal coliform levels. The Philippines defended its decision to reject the resolution on the Rohingya crisis during the United Nations Human Rights Council on Thursday. In its position read before the Council, the Philippine mission to the United Nations said the crisis needs a long-considered approach rather than a harsh short-term action on the Rohingya Muslims of Myanmar. It said the Council should direct its discussions towards cooperation with Myanmar, including building and strengthening domestic accountability mechanisms. This echoes concerns raised in the Council about the effectiveness of country-specific resolutions at a time when the UN system is operating under severe budget constraints. A recent report from the UN Special Rapporteur also highlighted that unilateral measures often exacerbate interstate tensions and lead to more human rights violations on the ground. The UNHRC resolution on the Rohingya issue urges Myanmar to sustain the democratic transition by bringing all national institutions under a democratically elected civilian government. It also welcomes the entry of the UN Independent Investigative Mechanism for Myanmar to collect evidence of international crimes. In our foreign news, senior ministers have backed Prime Minister Boris Johnson as he insisted on ending the membership of Britain in the European Union on October 31st. During the Conservative Party's conference in Manchester on Sunday, senior ministers gave speeches supporting Johnson's determination to end Britain's membership. Johnson earlier said Britain will leave the European Union next month despite a parliamentary bill forcing him to seek an extension from Brussels if there is no deal. Brexit Secretary Stephen Barclay, Leader of the Commons Jacob Rees-Mogg, and Cabinet Minister Michael Gove warned of the impact on politics of failing to honor the 17.4 million people who voted to leave in 2016. With Labor now supportive of a general election and the Liberal Democrats wanting to revoke Britain's application to leave the EU, all three described the Conservative Party as the only major party to support leaving. Conservative MPs have been primed to return quickly to Westminster if a crucial confidence vote is called while the Manchester Conference is underway. Nueva Ecija is celebrating its Harvest Festival in honor of the province's agricultural bounty. Gowns inspired by these products highlighted a competition featuring the province's local designers. Teresa Montemayor has the story.
The artistry and creativity of Novo Ecijanos took center stage as several local designers showcased their creations in a festival of costumes, mostly featuring agricultural products at the SM Mega Center on Saturday. The competition, which was part of the second Nueva Ecija Harvest Festival, featured works of the best designers from the cities and municipalities in the province. The internationally acclaimed festival, a recipient of last year's Stevie Award in Singapore, was designed to uplift tourism in the so-called One Town, One Product of each local government unit. Among the participating municipalities were Licab, San Antonio, Zaragoza, Llanera, Santa Rosa, Talavera, Aliaga, and the cities of Gapan and Muñoz. The municipality of Zaragoza, which showcased a gown made of abaca, bundle of palay, and rice grains, bested all to take home 15,000 pesos in cash prize and plaque. San Antonio and Gapan City landed second and third places with prizes of 10,000 pesos and 5,000 pesos respectively with plaques. The winning costumes will be exhibited in the mall for 1 week to better promote artistry to mall goers. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Teresa Montemayor.
Here is the latest in our community billboard. The Kidapawan City Tourism Office has reopened the trials of Mount Apo for the October Trek 2019. The October Trek will be open to the public on October 18 to 20. In line with the said activity, there will be a night market which is now open for exhibitors and tenants. Interested participants may apply for slots until October 11 at the City Tourism Office in the Kidapawan City Plaza. Let's check out the weather forecast from Pag-asa. Typhoon Onyok is not making landfall and is expected to leave the country by Monday night. Onyok is moving northwest over the Philippine Sea at 20 kilometers per hour. The trough of Onyok is bringing scattered light to moderate rain showers and thunderstorms over Cagayan, Apayao, and Ilocos provinces. Meantime, Metro Manila and the rest of the country will be partly cloudy to cloudy with isolated rain showers due to localized thunderstorms. Let's take another look at today's biggest stories. Transport groups protest against the government's Jeepney modernization program. Tribal leaders accuse the CPP-NPA of killing indigenous peoples who support government projects. Amakusa City in Japan taps Negros Occidental as its tourism partner in the Philippines. And local designers in Nueva Ecija showcase gowns inspired by the province's agricultural products. Thank you for watching another edition of the PNA Newsroom. To check out these and other stories, visit the PNA website or follow the Philippine News Agency on Facebook and Twitter. For more stories about the government and how it serves the Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. And that's your daily dose of the latest news and information that you need to know from the PNA Newsroom. I am William Theo. Good day to all.